So what is people pleasing and how does it differ to just being nice? People pleasing is when you constantly feel like other people's needs, problems and wants are more important than your own. It's when you're constantly putting yourself in other people's shoes, but yours feel like they rarely even leave the box. It's when you constantly say yes, but deep down you really want to say no. People pleasers constantly overcommit and often go along with things that they're not really happy about, just to avoid friction. The people pleaser often has a desire to not disappoint others that's higher than their desire to not disappoint themselves. I just edited the word often into that sentence because I was worried somebody who identifies as a people pleaser may not relate to that particular sentence and get offended. Sorry guys. Oh, crap, I said sorry again. Hi, I'm Jamie and I'm a recovering people pleaser. I like to say yes. I like to say yes a lot. And my no's, well, they sound a bit more like a nah yeah, or at absolute best,
yeah, nah.
And I also have ADHD. And I think when people hear ADHD, one of the last things that they would think of is people pleasing. I mean, we're impulsive. We often act and speak before we think or as we're thinking. We're prone to disappoint the people we love the most due to our lack of focus, our poor working memory, our overexcitedness when we're hyper-focused on something that we're interested in. So how could somebody with all these traits be labeled as a people pleaser? Well, funnily enough, from the research I've done, a lot of people with ADHD actually grow up to become people pleasers because of the traits that I just mentioned. Over time and as we age, we get tired of feeling like we're letting everybody down. So we start trying to overcompensate for our ADHD traits. People with ADHD often have a low self-esteem from years of being made to feel like they're not good enough or that they're just lazy and unmotivated. So we become intentional in trying to prove everybody wrong. We also become hyper aware of the mistakes that we've made from acting or speaking on impulse and become anxious of making those same mistakes again. So we try and counteract those potential times where we may disappoint the people that we care about by excessive people pleasing. It's ironic that sometimes the people who may disappoint others the most are actually the ones trying their hardest not to. Take me, for example. I have severe time blindness, and when I was younger, I was always late for things. I just couldn't keep track of time or plan ahead like a normal person could. So over the years, I've let a lot of people down due to my always being late. And I always hated that feeling. I've always been sensitive to other people's feelings, and I've come to know a lot of people with ADHD are too. And because I couldn't quite overcome this time blindness thing, I started overcompensating by showing up to events abnormally early, to the point where it's pretty rare for me to not be one of the first people to show up at any event or appointment that I've been invited to. And if I'm not, well, I'm probably in the car waiting for a not so awkward moment for me to show up. And that feeling sucks too. Another reason that people with ADHD are subject to people pleasing is it can be a form of masking. They do this because they feel like they're different to everybody else. The truth is they are. And in a lot of ways, that can be a blessing. It's why people with ADHD are often super creative and have a unique ability to be able to think outside of the box. But the flip side to that is it's a basic human need to want to belong and fit in. And that's where masking comes in. We become social chameleons to try and fit in with the people that we care about the most and avoid conflict as much as possible, because just like everybody, we want to feel up. Due to growing up constantly feeling out of place or that we're always the one in the wrong, we begin to internalize that if we stand firm on our boundaries or share our opposing opinions, and if we're the truest version of ourselves around the people that we love, we may lose them. And for a lot of us, this has happened. So we become overly agreeable to the point where we even apologize when we know we're not in the wrong. While people pleasers struggle to say no, The one word we don't struggle to say is sorry. And on the flip side, something I rarely hear people talk about is how people pleasers often keep new people at arm's length because they're worried that if they let them in, they run the risk of people pleasing with them. And people pleasing in a friendship or a relationship can be exhausting. It leads to burnout and eventually resentment. So people pleasers often have a lot of acquaintances because, hey, who wouldn't want to be friends with a people pleaser? We're generally nice guys or nice girls, but we often struggle with close friendships and relationships. Here's 5 strategies that I began implementing into my life to try and overcome people pleasing. And remember, I'm a work in progress too. 1, find a good therapist and start exploring the root of your people pleasing. Why did it start? When did it start? Why do you feel like you can't be happy unless those around you are happy first? Only you can answer these questions, and until you know the cause, you can't find the cure. 2, practice saying no. Come up with situations in your head that you may run into where saying no could be difficult, and rehearse simple ways to say no and affirm your boundaries. For example, I don't drink alcohol around my children, and I'm often in situations where I'm with other parents and they'll offer me a drink. I used to give these long, awkward excuses as to why I couldn't join in because I'd be worried that they would feel judged and uncomfortable by my not doing something that they were doing. But the reality is I wasn't judging them, I just didn't want to drink. So I've rehearsed saying, I don't drink, but thank you. To the point where saying it feels more like habit than that painful ripping off a Band-Aid feeling. And it makes it much easier to move on quickly, set a boundary, and move on to the next topic. 3, stop apologizing for everything, especially at times where you're not even the one in the wrong. It's not your job to resolve things at all costs. As people pleasers, unresolved issues weigh down on us like a ton of bricks. But you know what else feels like a ton of bricks? Letting people walk all over you. And I'm not saying don't apologize when you're in the wrong, but what I am saying is don't be the fall guy just because you want to move through conflicts faster. 4, pause and reflect. As people pleasers, we often overcommit, double book, or say yes to things we really have no interest in because we're worried about disappointing the people we care about. But the reality is when we overcommit, double book, and do things we obviously have no interest in, we end up disappointing those very same people. So create a habit of pausing and reflecting before you give your yeses away. Say, I'd love to help, but let me check my schedule and get back to you. Once you've had time to reflect on if you're capable of giving what you've been asked to give, let them know your answer. And 5, block out times of your day or week that's just for you. And this is time that you shouldn't give up easily and you shouldn't look at as free time. And in full transparency, this is one that I struggle with, but it's really important. I like to look at it this way. I'm a videographer, and if I don't give my batteries adequate time to charge, then my camera becomes useless. And humans are the same way. If we don't give ourselves time to rest or have fun, then we can't function properly, just like a camera with depleted batteries. You need to prioritize time for you so that you can be at your best for everybody else. I really hope you guys got something out of this video, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, because it really helps me a lot. And yeah, thanks for watching this video. See you guys.